Remember our dear old friend GitHub Pages that allowed us to deploy our stuff? What if we did that with this? But how? We can't just go in and turn it on and have it just work. Because what's in our app directory is not what's getting served by the browser. Right now we're running a development server with yarn start, and it handles all of that invisibly for us. But we know everything in source is getting run through, among other things, Babel, and turned into a single JavaScript file, we think, and stuff like that. This is not what gets served to the browser. There's no, this is just not that thing. Let's look at package JSON real quick. We see our dependencies, and we see scripts. Start, build, test, and eject. What does build do? Let's find out, shall we? Yes, David, let's find out. I can't wait. Let's run yarn build. Creating an optimized production build. All right, compiled successfully. File sizes after gzip. Main.blobbity-blah.js, main.blobbity-blah.css, 49K, 1.3K, respectively. The project was built assuming it is hosted at the server root. To override this, specify the homepage in your package.json. For example, add this to build it for GitHub Pages. Boy, that's helpful of it, isn't it? Leave that there, and let's look at what actually happened. Hey, that wasn't there before. It just made a build folder containing, all that stuff and index.html, the stuff that was in the public directory. And then there's the static subdirectory here with a media subfolder that contains our SVG and our two pings. All of the images that we imported. There's a JS folder with main.whatever.js and main.whatever.js.map. Let's look at main.whatever.js. Oh, that's nice and readable. This is what actually gets sent to the browser. This is what you guys wrote. Congratulations. So our build system, which uses a thing called Webpack, not only runs it through Babel to turn it into a different version of JavaScript, potentially turn JSX into JavaScript, it also minifies it, making it take up as little space as possible. Notice the line numbers here. This is all in one line. It's making this stuff take up as little space as possible, and that is all the JavaScript that our app requires. Not just what we wrote, but all of our dependencies as well. So React is in there somewhere. Yeah, it's all there. Must have been, or gotten really lucky. And notice it said all of that is 49K. All our code and all our dependencies, 49K. Pretty nice. So index.html, this JavaScript file, this CSS file, that's all that gets sent in a production build of this. So it's the contents of this build folder. The only reason there's much of anything in this build folder is because of our silly fave icons that I made you copy, because that's what most of that is. Otherwise, it would just be, index.html, serviceworker.js, browser config XML, and that's about it. So the stuff in this build folder, is what we want up on GitHub Pages. That's what we would copy to a web server. If you were FTPing it up to some server or something, you could copy that and it's just a static website. Okay, so it says, let's break this down. The project was built assuming it is hosted at the server root. In other words, assuming it will be whatever server / not some subfolder of that. But we know on GitHub Pages where it hosted is your username .github.io / the name of this repo, right? It's not at the server root. It's in a subfolder. So if that's the case, we need to specify the homepage in package.json so that all the links it makes, including the style sheets and JavaScript, will be relative to the right directory. So let's go to package.json. Go ahead and copy this line here, homepage, whatever. Go to your package.json. And right under name, add a new line with homepage, and then the URL, replacing, obviously, this fake name with yours. .github.io / note herder. So this build script is pretty smart. It tells us some information about what actually happened, which is pretty cool. So let's run build again. Yarn build. So hopefully it says that it was built assuming that path. Scroll up a bit. The project was built assuming it is hosted at /noteherder/. Good. You can control this with the homepage field in your package.json. The build folder is ready to be deployed. To publish it at this GitHub Pages thing, run yarn add --dev GitHub Pages, gh-pages. Because our homepage in package.json was a GitHub Pages URL, the script actually recognized that and told us what we need to do next. Yarn add --dev gh-pages. So run that. I'll copy that so I don't mistype it. And it says a couple other things too. Notice that. We'll go back to that. Yarn add dev gh pages. Yarn add is how we add new dependencies. Does two things. It downloads that dependency and puts it in your node modules folder, and it adds a line to package.json so that it's listed among your dependencies. So that other people who pull the code will do that too. So let's look at package.json. There it is. GH Pages is now in my dev dependencies. --dev there adds it to dev dependencies instead of dependencies. The difference being you don't actually need these things installed to run the built app, just to do development work on it. So let's go back up and look at this. Okay, we did this. Now it says add the following script in your package.json. Okay, the scripts section, pre-deploy and deploy. Let's copy these two lines. Here's the scripts section. Let's add a trailing slash on eject here and add pre-deploy and deploy. So deploy is going to run GH Pages -d build. Pre-deploy runs npm run build. We can make it run yarn build instead if we wanted. We don't necessarily want to make this thing dependent on yarn. So by naming the script pre-deploy, that's automatically going to get run if you run deploy. It says, and then run yarn run deploy. Sounds like fun. Yarn run deploy. How about I save package.json first? And notice it also launches npm run build. Right? So I never need to run build again. If I run deploy, it'll run build. And then it'll run this ghpages command, which I'm hoping pushes it to GitHub Pages. And I expect it to live at this URL here. Did it work? Cuss, yeah, Uncle Cussa. Yeah, out there on the World Wide Web. So guess what I want to do next? Let's copy this URL. Go to my repo on GitHub.
Where'd you get that URL?
Out of here. Originally, I got it from it spitting it out when I ran build. It's also in the output of what you just ran, right here. So I'm going to edit my GitHub repo, paste this in the website field, and please everybody do this because we are going to check your stuff tomorrow. It makes it a lot easier on us if we can run the thing right from here. So then you can just click. Et voila. Now keep in mind, as you continue to commit to master and push up and all that stuff, GitHub Pages isn't going to automatically be updated. You do need to run yarn run deploy again to deploy it. So when you make a bunch of changes that you want us to actually see, that you want to end up on GitHub Pages, you'll need to run deploy again. So keep that in mind. So we just made a couple changes to package.json. My yarn.lock file got updated because I installed a new dependency. So I'm going to commit that. Add GitHub Pages deploy script. Excellent.